We are going to read from page 645 in the American Spirit per request. Request and random, yes. The era of trust busting. Good morning, happy Easter. Roosevelt attacks the Antitrust Act, 1908. Trust busting. Now there's a little cartoon. The trusts. He's good enough for me. A famous anti-Roosevelt parody of the original Davenport cartoon. See page 632 by Opper and the Hearst Press. It's Uncle Sam. He's good enough for me. Millions of copies of this pro-Roosevelt cartoon by Davenport were circulated during the presidential campaign of 1904. New York Evening Mail, 1904. Early in his thinking about trust, Roosevelt concluded that bigness was not necessarily badness. He favored destroying the evils in trust rather than the trusts themselves, and he had no sympathy with the utter folly of the quacks who cried to destroy the trusts. Corporate organizations that used their power with a proper regard for the public welfare were necessary for the nation's prosperity. It's a lot of P words. He believed and should not be harassed. Those that were guilty of malpractices should be curbed or broken up. Roosevelt instituted proceedings under the Sherman Act against the giant Standard Oil Company, and in 1911 the Supreme Court ordered it dissolved. By the pro rata distribution of stock among the new components left the combined power equal to what it had previously been, with stock values much higher. Explain why Roosevelt, in this message to Congress, wanted a drastic revision of the Sherman Act and whether his proposition was sound. In references to Sherman antitrust law, I repeat the recommendations made in my message at the opening of the present Congress. As well as in my message to the previous Congress. The attempt in this law to provide in sweeping terms against all combinations of whatever character, if technically in restraint of trade, such restraint has been defined by the courts, must necessarily be futile or mischievous, and sometimes both. The present law makes some combinations illegal, although they may be useful to the contrary. On the other hand, has to some huge combinations, which are both noxious and illegal, even if the action undertaken against them under the law by the government is successful, the result may be to work but a minimum benefit to the public. Even though the combination be broken up and a small measure of reform thereby produced, the real good aimed at cannot be obtained, for such real good can come only by a thorough and continuing supervision over the acts of the combination in all its parts, so as to prevent stock watering, improper forms of competition, and in short, wrongdoing generally. The law should correct that portion of the Sherman Act which prohibits all combinations of the character above described, whether they be reasonable or unreasonable. But this should be done only as a part of general scheme to provide for the effective and thoroughgoing supervision by the national government of all the operations of the big interstate business concerns. You're welcome. Thank you. You like my Easter shirt? Yeah, thank you. It's not really my Easter shirt, it's just the shirt I'm wearing today, which happens to be Easter. Not everywhere, no. To some it is everywhere, yeah. And this is the way we... yeah. Rainy and drizzly, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna make a coffee. We got hazelnut coffee. Yeah, I got the New England brand this time. I might actually have a blonde Nescafe as opposed to the... I had 2 hazelnuts earlier this morning already, so... Alright, yeah, let us know. We're right here. We're going to make some banana bread and strawberry crumble. Mm-hmm.